Alright, this is your Algebra 1 study guide review. Question number 1. Write an expression that is equivalent to 2 times the difference of x and 4 minus 4 plus 3 times the difference of x and 1. Okay, on this one, you are going to distribute first, so you're going to do the distributive property in 2 places. Okay, with the 2x, with the 2 times the x minus 4, and with the 3 times the x minus 1. When you distribute, you multiply 2 times x, which is 2x. You multiply 2 times minus 4, which is minus 8. Minus 4 plus 3 times x, which is 3x. And 3 times negative 1, which is negative 3. Once you've done the distributive property, then it's important for you to identify and combine like terms. Remember, like terms are terms that have the same variable raised to the same power. So you've got 2x and you've got 3x. Combining those will get you 5x. And also remember that all constants are like terms. So you have 8, or negative 8, minus 4, minus 3. Well, negative 8 minus 4 gives you negative 12. And negative 12 minus 3 gives you negative 15. So your simplified expression should be 5x minus 15. Question 2. We have Karen is making a new vegetable garden. Given the rectangle below, which expression could be used to find the perimeter of the garden? Remember that finding perimeter is adding all of the sides together. So remember that this side is 4x plus 1, and the bottom is 2x minus 7. Okay, combining those together, you're going to add all the sides. So you've got 2 4x plus 1, so we can write that using the distributive property, or you can write 4x plus 1 plus 4x plus 1. Okay, and you've also got 2x minus 7. Again, you could just write 2x minus 7 plus 2x minus 7. Either way, you'll get the same answer. So here you would distribute. So you're going to distribute the 2 to both the 4 and the 1, giving you 8x plus 2. Here you'll distribute the 2 to the 2x and to the 7, giving you 4x minus 14. Then you'll combine like terms. Again, like terms, same variables. It's the same power. So you've got 8 plus 4x, which gives you 12x. And all constants are like terms. You've got 2, so positive 2 minus 14, which would give you negative 12, or minus 12. Looking at 3, it says translate the sentence into an equation. 4 less than the product of 8 and a number g is equal to 10 more than g. Okay, we know that this is an equation. We see the word equal is equal. That's where we're going to start with our equal sign. Before the equal sign, we have 4 less than. Remember that less than means that the number that comes before it actually goes at the end. So you're starting with something over here, and then you're taking away 4 from that. Okay, it's 4 less than the product of 8 and a number g. So since we don't know what g is, we leave it. So the product would be 8 times g, which is 8g. Is equal to 10 more than g. So it's equal to g plus 10. Okay. 4. Translate the verbal expression into an algebraic one. The number x divided by y is the same as 6 less than 3 times the difference of x and y. Okay, again, is the same as, this is where our equal sign is, that's what's going to divide our 2 parts. We have the number x divided by the number y. We don't know either number, so we will just have x divided by y. Remember that we are writing division as a fraction in algebra. Okay, it is the same as 6 less than, oh, we see this less than again. Okay, remember the less than means that the 6 goes goes behind the minus sign. Is 6 less than 3 times the difference of x and y. We have 3 times the difference of x and y. So we take the difference of x and y, which would be x minus y, and we multiply that by 3. And how we show that is using the distributive property. Question 5. What is the solution to the equation? Okay, when we are solving equations, first thing is to check for, is there distributive property? So do we have the distributive property happen? And we do not. Then we look at combining like terms. Okay, we do have like terms. Remember that like terms have the same variable to the same power. So we've got 7d minus 3d and plus d that are all like terms. 7d minus 3d gives you 4d, and 4d plus d gives you 5d. Okay, also note that there is a 2d kind of hanging back here at the end. So if you forgot to combine it the first time, combine it the second time. So 5d minus 2d gives you 3d. So we end up with 3d plus 7. Okay, after we combine like terms, then we remove, we add, or subtract any constants. Okay, constants are just the numbers, so the numbers that are not attached to the variable. They're not being multiplied or dividing by the variable. So we have a constant of 7. To get rid of plus 7, we do the inverse operation, which would be to subtract 7 from both sides. The 7 would cancel out there, and we're left with 3d equals negative 7. Last step is to multiply or divide by the coefficient. So the coefficient that's in front of the d is 3, so we're going to divide both sides by 3. Making our solution d is equal to negative 7 over 3. Okay, you might see this written as a decimal or as a mixed number. As a mixed number, that would be 2 and 1/3, so negative 2 1/3. As a decimal, that would be negative 2.3 repeated. Okay, looking at the next one, we do have distributive property on this next one. So since we have distributive property, that's going to be the thing that we take care of first. So we have 2 times h, which is 2h, 2 times negative 8, which is minus 16. Minus h equals h minus 16. Okay, looking at this one. Okay, we've got like terms. So after we've distributed, then we're going to combine like terms. Like terms have to be on the same side of the equal sign. So we're only focused on like terms over here and terms that are the same on this side. 2h and h are like terms, so 2h minus h. So 2h minus h gives you 1h minus 16 equals h minus 16 over here. Okay, we have variables on both sides. So whenever we have variables on both sides, before we add or subtract any constants, we need to add or subtract the variable. We want to get variables to the same side. So I don't want h's on two sides, I need them on the same side, so I'm going to pick one of the h's, so let's say this one, and I'm going to move it. Since it's a positive h, to get rid of a positive h, we subtract h. When we subtract, the h's on both sides end up canceling out, and we are left with negative 16 equals negative 16. Okay, this is a true statement. We do know that negative 16 actually equals negative 16. Because you have the same thing on both sides, we would say that our solution is all real numbers. Meaning any number that we have will work for any value of h will work in that equation. Okay, looking at 7. We have the distributive property again. So we're going to distribute the 4 to both the y and the 2. 4 times y gives you 4y. 4 times 2 gives you 8 equals 32. We do not have variables on both sides here, so we can move straight to adding and subtracting the constant. So we do have the constant of 8. To get rid of plus 8, we subtract 8 from both sides. You're leaving you with 4y over here is equal to 32 minus 8, which is 24. And then the last step is to divide by that coefficient of 4, so we're going to divide both sides by 4. And that leaves us with y is equal to 6. Looking at 8, we do have the distributive property happening on 8. So since we have the distributive property happening there, we need to take care of that. Okay, 2 times h gives you 2h. 2 times 9 gives you 18. Minus h equals h plus 18. Combine your like terms. So any like terms on this side, we're going to combine. Any like terms on this side, we're going to combine. We have 2h minus h, which gives you h plus 18 equals h plus 18. We have variables on both sides, so we want to make sure that we get rid of one of the variables. So if I get rid of this one, I would subtract h. Again, to get rid of a positive h, we subtract it. That cancels out. This cancels out, and we're left with 18 is equal to 18. Again, that is a true statement. Because we have a true statement there, the solution for this one would be all real numbers. Okay, let's take a look at number 9. Number 9, we don't have distributive property, but we do have like terms, so let's go ahead and combine our like terms. We have 6d, we have minus 3d, we have minus 4d, and we have this minus 2d at the end. 6d minus 3d gives you 3d. We have 3d minus 4d, which gives you negative 1d minus 7 minus 2d equals 0. Negative 1d minus 2d gives you negative 3d minus 7 equals 0. Okay, now we don't have variables on both sides. We're going to move that constant of 7 over. We have minus 7 to undo subtraction. We add 7 to both sides. So we're going to have negative 3d equals 7. Divide both sides by negative 3. And you get d equals 7 over negative 3. Okay, number 10. We have John and 2 friends are going out for pizza for lunch. They split 1 pizza and 3 large drinks. The cost is $12. They spend a total of $16.95. Find the cost for 1 large drink. Okay, so here's what we know. We know that John and 2 friends are going out for pizza, so there's 3 of them. They split 1 pizza, so they've bought 1 pizza total, and we know the cost of that pizza is $12. Okay? They spend a total of $16.95. So we know that they're spending a total, their total cost is $16.95. And we're trying to find the cost of 1 large drink. Well, we know that they bought 3 large drinks, and they each bought 1. Okay, so the cost, to figure out the cost of 1, we would need to make sure that we multiply, that we know that there's 3 times the cost of 1 drink plus 12 would give you the total cost. So $12, which is the total cost of the pizza, plus 3 drinks, each drink times 3 equals $16.95. Then we're going to find the total cost. Okay, to find the total cost, we're going to move things away from that variable. So the first thing we're going to get rid of is the 12. Okay, so you're going to subtract both sides by 12. Positive 12. It's not being multiplied, so we're going to subtract. We get 3d is equal to $4.95. And then you're going to divide both sides by 3. Giving you a total of $1.65. So we know that each drink costs $1.65. Number 11. A copy center offers its customers 2 different pricing plans for black and white photocopies of 8.5 inches by 11 inches pages. Customers can pay either 8 cents per page or pay $7.50 for a discount card that lowers the cost to 5 cents per page. Write and solve an equation to find the number of photocopies for which the cost of each plan is the same. Okay, so we're looking at 2 different plans. Okay, which tells me that this first part right here, I don't need to know anything from this top. They're giving us extra information. We don't need to know that. We need to know the 2 plans. Okay, the first plan is that they can either pay 8 cents per page, so that's on the first one. 8 cents per page, so 8 cents times x, 0.08x, equals, okay, the other plan. So the other plan is that they can pay $7.50. That's a flat rate. So it's only occurring once. So that would be our constant. Plus, they'll pay 5 cents per page. So instead of paying 8 cents per page, they're going to pay 5 cents per page. Okay, so we've written the equation. Now it wants us to solve it. So to solve it, again, we need to look, is there distributive property happening? And there's not. Do we need to combine like terms? Are there any like terms on either side? And there's not. There's only one term here, and the two terms on the other side are not equal. Okay, and then we need to look, do we have variables on both sides? And in this case, we do. Okay, so we're going to have to get rid of the one that's not by itself. We want to leave the 8 cents alone because that one's by itself already. We want to move the 5 cents. So to get rid of plus 0.5x, we're going to subtract 0.05x from both sides. Okay, that goes away, and what we're left with is 0.03x equals 750. Okay, then what we're going to do is we're going to divide both sides by the coefficient of 0.03. So we're going to divide everything by 0.03. Okay, and when we do that, what you end up with is x equaling 250 copies. Okay, question 12. John wants to download games for his phone. Okay, pardon the typos in this one. When it talks about games, I've already changed this part. So yours says songs. I've changed the wording to games. So John wants to download games for his phone. Older games cost 300 points and new releases cost 600 points. John has 12,000 points to use. The equation 300a plus 600b equals 12,000, where a is the number of older songs and b is the number of new releases, models this situation. How many older games can he download if he downloads 4 new games? And then how many can he download if he downloads 5 new games? Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to take your equation. We know the equation that we're given is 300a plus 600b equals 12,000. Okay. We are given the number of new games. New games is the variable b. That is the part that we need to know. So we're given b. We're going to substitute in what we know for b into the equation, and we're going to solve for a. So for the first one, we know that he downloads 4 new games. So in this first situation, b is equal to 4. So in our equation, we're going to have 300a plus 600 times 4 equals 12,000. Okay, 300a plus 2,400 equals 12,000. Now you're going to solve it. So we'll subtract both sides, 2,400 from both sides. That cancels out. We're left with 300a equals, okay, well that is going to be a 6. That goes to 11. So we're left with 9,600. Okay, and then your last step is to divide that by 300. And when you divide that by 300, you get a is equal to 32. So if he buys 4 new games, he can download 32 old games. Okay, you're going to do the same exact thing, okay, for the next part. So we want to do the same thing, okay, but this time instead of plugging in 4 or substituting in 4, we're going to substitute in 5 new games. So you're doing the exact same thing. So 300a plus 600 times 5 this time equals 12,000. 300a plus 3,000 equals 12,000. 300a. Well, okay, subtract 3,000 from both sides. A little bit ahead of myself, okay? 300a equals, okay, 9,000. Now divide both sides by 300. Helpful little hint here, when you're dividing and you have zeros at the end of both your numbers, or however many zeros you have that are in common, you can cross them out. So we have 90 divided by 3, which leaves us with a equaling 30. So if he downloads 5 new games, he can download 30 old games. Okay, looking at 13, it says, what are the solutions to the inequality? Okay, check the solutions. So, we have an inequality. When we're solving inequalities, we do the same things that we do with equations. The biggest thing here is to remember that when you divide or multiply by a negative number, that you need to reverse the inequality. Okay, so here we have 4x plus 6 is less than negative 6. We're going to start by subtracting 6 from both sides. Remember that we are removing constants first. Okay, there's not variables on both sides, so I'm going to move the 6 over. We get 4x is less than negative 12. Negative 6 and negative 6 combine. Same sign, you add them to give you negative 12. Last step would be to divide by 4. X is less than negative 3. Okay. To check your solution, you would pick a value that is less than 3 or less than negative 3 and plug it back in. So negative 4 is a number that is less than negative 3. So you go back, plug it into your original equation, and see if what you get out is true. Negative 4, or 4 times negative 4 is negative 16, plus 6 is less than negative 6. Negative 16 plus 6 is negative 10, is less than negative 6. Because this is a true statement, we know that our solution is correct. Okay, p plus 4 minus 2 times the difference of p minus 10 is greater than 0. Okay, just like we would in an equation, we're going to start with the distributive property, then we're going to move to combining like terms. Biggest thing here is making sure that you know that when you're distributing, that you're not distributing by a positive 2, but that you are distributing by a negative 2. That minus sign means that it is a negative, which is going to change your solution. Okay, so you have p plus 4. When you distribute, negative 2 times positive p gives you minus 2p. Negative 2 times a negative 10 gives you a plus 20. Okay, that's the big thing there, that when you multiply negative times a negative, you get a positive. If you do not make sure that you're multiplying by negative 2, you will accidentally write minus 20, which will change your answer. And all of that is greater than 0. Okay, combining like terms. We have p and minus 2p. Those are like terms. When you combine them, p minus 2p gives you negative p, negative 1p. And you've got 4 plus 20. Positive 4, positive 20. Combine them to give you positive 24. Okay, negative p plus 24 is greater than 0. Okay, subtract 24 on both sides so that we get p by itself. So we have negative p is greater than negative 24. We don't want to know what negative p is. We actually need to know what p is, positive p. So we're going to divide both sides by negative 1. This changes to a positive p. Because we divided by a negative number, our inequality switches to a less than, and negative 24 changes to a positive 24. And so your solution is p is less than 24. Looking at 15, we have negative 2/5 minus 9 is less than 9/10. Okay, we have fractions. The biggest thing here is to possibly get rid of the fractions. Let's start by getting rid of the fractions. Okay, to get rid of the fractions, you need to find the common denominator. Our lowest common denominator is 10. 5 and 10 both go into the number 10. So since our common denominator here is 10, we're going to multiply everything here by 10. So everything that is here gets multiplied by 10. Everything. Okay, 2/5 times 10 becomes 20 over 5. 10 times 9 becomes minus 90, is less than 90 over 10. You're only multiplying to the numerators. And then simplify. Negative 20 over 5 changes to negative 4. There's an x here. Minus 4x. Minus 90 is less than 9. Okay, now that the fraction's gone, we can solve the inequality like we normally would. Okay, So we're going to add 90 to both sides to get that variable by itself. We get negative 4x is less than 99. And then you're going to divide everything by negative 4. Okay, x becomes greater than, okay, 99 over 4, negative 99 over 4. If it's not written as an improper fraction, then it is more than likely going to be expressed as a mixed number. And so as a mixed number, you would just divide. So you would come over up to the side, do 99, divide by 4. We know that this goes into this 2 times. Gives you an 8. 19 goes in there 6 times. And you are left with remainder of 3. So you have 24, that's your whole number part. Your denominator is 4, your numerator is 3. So 24 and 3/4 would be your answer, would be your solution to that. Okay, looking at 16. Okay, we have an inequality. Okay, there is distributive property taking place, so we want to get rid of, we want to undo the distributing that's there. Okay, so nothing's happening on the left, so we're going to leave that alone. 12 plus 10w is greater than or equal to, let's go ahead and distribute, 8w, okay, plus 96. All right. Get your variables on the same side. We do have variables on different sides. We have the 8w and we have the 10w, so we want to get them to the same side. Since there's constants on both, since neither one of them is by themselves, we want to move the smaller of the two. So let's start by moving the 8w over. Okay, when you move it over, you're left with 12. Okay, plus 2w is greater than or equal to, the 8w's go away here, 96. Okay, then we're going to get rid of that constant. So there's a constant over here, that constant of 12. We're going to subtract it. Subtracting positive 12. Or subtract to get rid of the positive 12. And what it leaves you with is 2w. Okay, it leaves you with 2w is greater than or equal to, okay, 84. And then divide both sides by 2. And w is greater than or equal to 42. Because we didn't divide or multiply by a negative number, there was no need to reverse your inequality. Okay, looking at 17. We have 4 plus 10m is less than or equal to 10 times m plus 2. We have distributive property, so let's go ahead and take care of that. 10 times m is 10m. 10 times 2 is 20. And over here we still have 4 plus 10m. Okay, again, we have variables on both sides, so we want to get rid of the variables on one of the sides. Again, it doesn't matter which one we get rid of because both of those numbers are the same, so let's just subtract 10m from both sides. Okay, what happens is they both cancel out, and we're left with 4 is less than or equal to 20. Okay, is that a true statement? Is 4 less than or equal to 20? Well, it is less than 20. So since 4 is actually less than 20, we would say that this has an infinite number of solutions, which is considered all real numbers. All right, 18. Okay, we have a snail travels at a rate of 2.35 feet per minute. Write a rule to describe the function. How far will the snail travel in 5 minutes? Okay, well we know the snail can travel at a rate of 3.5 feet per minute. So rate, and we're trying to find the distance. So distance equals rate times time. Okay, well we don't know the distance that he's traveling. We also don't know the time, but we do know the rate is 2.35 feet per minute. So our equation that you could use would be 2d equals 2.35 t. And then to figure out for 5 minutes, we now know a time, so we're going to replace t with the time of 5. And so when you multiply those two together, you get d is equal to, or the distance is 11.75 feet. Describe the solution to the inequality. Well, to describe the solution, we first have to identify the solution. So let's solve this. Okay, here we have a compound inequality. We have an and inequality. Remember that if we're getting rid of things in the middle, our goal is to get rid of everything away from x, so to isolate x, get it by itself. When we're moving things away from the middle, what we want to do is, or what we're going to do is we're going to end up doing it to all three sides. So to get rid of this minusing by 2, we're going to add 2. And since we're doing it from the middle, we're going to add 2 on all three sides. So what you end up with is 3 is less than or equal to negative 3x and less than 44. Okay, and then the next step, oh, that's 4, my bad. Okay, is less than 6. Okay, let me fix that. Is less than 6. Okay, then your goal is to divide both sides by 3. So we're going to divide everything by negative 3. Okay, remember that when we're dividing by the negative number that our inequality sign is going to reverse. Okay, so what we end up with is negative 1 is greater than or equal to x is greater than or equal to negative 2. So we want everything that is between negative 2 and negative 1. So you could rewrite this so that it's in numerical order. Okay, 20. It says, what compound inequality represents the phrase all real numbers greater than or equal to negative 8 and less than 8? Okay, so all real numbers that are greater than negative 8, it's not equal to, just greater than. So greater than negative 8, but less than 8. So greater than negative 8, less than 8, anything in between that. And this is graph the solutions on a number line. So if you're graphing, if you're having to make your own number line, you really only need 2 numbers. You need negative 8, you need 8. You do need to know respectively what order they go in. So you need to know that negative 8 does come before 8 on a number line. We want everything that is greater than negative 8, but less than 8. So your solutions would be their intersection. Okay, what are the solutions to the compound inequality negative 8 is less than or equal to 2x minus 4 is less than 6? Graph the solutions on a number line. Okay, again, we have an and inequality. When it's written like this, we have an and. We're going to solve it. Okay, we're going to move everything that's in the middle away from x. Remember that because it's in the middle, it applies to all three sides because the 2x minus 4 is a part of both of the inequalities that we see here. So it's a part of both of them. Okay, so we're going to start by adding 4 on both sides. Okay, the 4's cancel out here. We have negative 4 on the left. We have a 2x in the middle, and then on the right we have positive 10. Okay, now we're going to divide both sides or everything by 2. Okay, we are not going to flip the inequality. We're not going to reverse it this time because we are not dividing by a negative number. Negative 4 divided by 2 is negative 2, is less than or equal to x, is less than 5. Okay, so our solutions are between negative 2 and 5. We are including negative 2. We are not including 5. When it says graph it on a number line, again, you only need to plot 2 values, negative 2 and 5. We want everything that is greater than or equal to negative 2, but less than 5. So we're going to stop when we approach 5. Okay, a student scored 83 and 91 on her first 2 quizzes. Write and solve a compound inequality to find the possible values for a third quiz score that would give her average between 85 and 90 inclusive. Okay, inclusive means that we want to include 85 and 90. So we want her quiz score to be between 85 and 90. Okay, well when we average something, when we take the average, because it's saying what would give her an average between 85 and 90. When we take the average, we add up the values that we're given, and we divide by the number of numbers there are. Well, we have 2 quizzes, and she's going to take a third, so we're averaging the scores from 3 quizzes. We know the first quiz was 83. We know the second quiz was 91. We don't know her score on the third quiz. That's what we're trying to figure out. So we're going to write x. Because there's 3 quizzes, when we average them together, after we add them, we would divide by 3, since there are 3 of them. This is your compound inequality that you're writing. Okay, now to solve it, we're going to go ahead and combine like terms. So we're going to go ahead and combine the 83 and the 91. So we have 85 is less than or equal to, this is 4, this becomes 17. So we have 174 plus x divided by 3 is less than or equal to 90. Okay, we're going to solve this. Now, normally we would take care of adding and subtracting first, but because we have the adding and subtracting happening in the numerator of a fraction, it's almost like putting it in parentheses. So we're going to do the part that's inside parentheses, the part that's on the top last. So in this particular case, we're going to get rid of this dividing by 3 first. Okay? So this is one of the exceptions where we get rid of multiplying and dividing first. So we're going to multiply all 3 sides by 3. That will get rid of this dividing by 3 here. So the dividing by 3 cancels out here, leaving you with 174 plus x, okay, is less than, is greater than here. 85 times 3, so that should be 255. And 90 times 3, which should be 270. Okay, and then you're going to subtract everything by 174. Because we want to get rid of, again, our goal is to get x by itself. Okay, when we subtract here, we've got 1. And then we've got 25 minus 17, which is, I believe, 81. That's a 1. I don't know why I have a 9 there. So 81 is less than or equal to x, because the 174 went away, is less than or equal to 96. So the average, the final test score, which is what we're solving for, would have to be between 81 and 96. Okay, find the solution to the inequality. So we're looking at number 23. To find the solution to the inequality for number 3, what you're going to need to do, okay, is look at the, find a common denominator. Okay, so we look at 5, 3, 2, and 4. We're looking for a number that all 4 of those numbers can go onto. That number just happens to be 60. So once you know that your common denominator is 60, okay, and if you're having a hard time figuring that part out, you just multiply all the denominators together. In this case, your denominators would give you 120, but it would still work. It's still a common denominator. It might not be the smallest common denominator, but it would still work. Our smallest common denominator in this case is 60, so we're going to multiply everything by 60. Again, the reason why we're multiplying everything by 60 is to get rid of the fractions altogether, because it's a lot easier to start solving things when we don't have the fractions. Okay. So 60 times 1/5 would be 60 over 5. 60 times a third would be 60 over 3. X is greater than, okay, well, 60 over 2 minus 60 over 4. Okay, and then simplify. 60 over 5 simplifies down to 12. 60 divided by 3 simplifies down to plus 20x. 60 divided by 2 is gives you 30x, and 60 divided by 4 gives you 15. Now that we have now that the fractions are gone, now that we've figured out what the common denominator is, and we have simplified, we multiplied everything by it. Okay. Now that we have that, the fractions are gone. Now we can start solving it normal. Okay. Get variables on the same side. So we're going to move the smaller of the two, so we're going to move the 20. So minus 20x minus 20x. You get 12 is greater than 10x minus 15. Okay, and then you're going to add 15 to both sides. Okay, we get We get 17 is greater than 10x. Divide everything by 10. And we get x is less than 17 over 10. Okay, we want to rewrite this. When we rewrite it, it would be x, again, it's still less than, but we're just going to write the variable on the left. 17 over 10. Again, you might see this written as a mixed number. As a mixed number, you would just have 1 and 7/10. Alright, real quick. Let's go back to this part right here. I realized that I made a mistake. When we add 12 plus 15, that is not 17, that is 27. So when we divide, we'll end up with 27 over 10. 27 over 10. Okay, which would be 2 and 7/10. My apologies. Okay, 24. Says, what equation do you get when you solve p minus b equals p plus gx for x? Here we have a literal equation, so we're really just going to manipulate. We're going to move things around so that x is by itself. Okay, so right now we currently have a p and a g with the x. We're going to solve it like we would a normal equation. So anything that's being added or subtracted to x, we're going to move away. So we're going to get rid of this p. Okay, positive p, to get rid of it, we subtract p. What happens is it cancels out here, and it also cancels out here. So what we're left with is negative b equals gx. Okay, we're solving for x, so we still need to get rid of the g. That operation that's happening between the g and the x is multiplication. So to undo multiplication, we divide. So we're going to divide both sides by g. Okay, and what we have is x is equal to negative b divided by g. That is your answer. Okay, we are not going to worry about 25. You will not have a question like 25 on your exam. So for right now, we're going to skip it. Okay, 26. So what equation do you get when you solve d times f plus 10h equals 3 for d? So we're solving this equation for d. So just like before, we're going to move things around so that d is by itself. Okay. So anything that's adding or subtracting to it, we're going to move. So we're going to get rid of the 10h. So minus 10h from both sides. We have df equals 3 minus 10h. And then we want d, not f, so then we'll divide everything by f, leaving us with d is equal to 3 minus 10h over f. Okay, the diagram below models the first 4 terms in a sequence. Write the formula to find the nth term in the sequence. So for number 27, this diagram models, we're going to write the equation. Okay, we're going to write the formula to find the nth term in the sequence. There are 2 formulas that you could write. You can write the explicit formula. You could write the recursive formula. Now, to find the nth term, more than likely, you're going to want to write the explicit. Because if you don't write the explicit, you're going to have to find every term leading up to the nth term in order to find it. So we're going to write the explicit formula. So recall that your explicit formula is a sub n equals a sub n minus 1. Oh, that's wrong. All right, let's try that again. Okay, we have a sub n equals a sub 1 plus your common difference times n minus 1. Okay, so that is your explicit formula. Okay, so you need to know the first term. Okay, so we don't need to know a sub n right now. We do need to know the first term. So the first term in our sequence is 2. And we also need to know the common difference. So what are we adding each time? So in this particular case, we are adding 3 to the next term to get our term. So our common difference would be positive 3 and n minus 1. Looking at 28. Looking at 28. 28 says write the explicit formula and find the 25th term. So again, your explicit formula is a sub n equals a sub 1 plus your common difference times n minus 1. Okay. We'll worry about the 25th term in just a minute, but we do need to know the first term in order to write our explicit. The first term is negative 33 plus your common difference. So what are we changing? How are we changing to get from one term to the next? And what's happening here is we are subtracting by 3. So your common difference in this particular case is 3. So instead of plus 3, because it's not a positive 3, it's a negative 3, we're going to subtract it. So minus 3 times n minus 1. Now that we have our explicit rule written, we can use that to find any term in the sequence. It just so happens that we want the 25th term. So this time we're going to substitute in 25 for n, because we know the term that we're looking for now. So we have a sub 25 equals 33 minus 3 times 25 minus 1. Okay. A sub 25 equals 33 minus 3 times 24. A sub 25 equals 33 minus 72. And then we'll subtract. So a sub 25 equals, this gives us 9, okay, negative 39. Okay, be careful not to make careless mistakes like I've made here. Remember that you have a negative 33. So this is not actually going to be negative 39, but what you'll have is negative 33 minus 72, which gives you negative 105. So always go back and check your answers, because it's very easy, just like I did, to leave off a negative here and there. So always go back and check just to make sure that you've got the right thing. Does your answer make sense? Okay. 29 says a recursive arithmetic sequence can be modeled using the following, or using the function below. What are the first 4 terms in the sequence? Okay, they give you the first term, which is negative 3. That's this a sub 1. They give you your common difference. That common difference is that number that's at the end of your recursive. Okay, so remember our recursive formula is a sub n equals a sub n minus 1 plus our common difference. So the number at the end of that is your common difference. So we are subtracting 3 from each term to get to the next one. So negative 3 minus 3 would give you negative 6. And then negative 6 minus 3 would give you negative 9. And negative 9 minus 3 would give you negative 12. Okay, 30. Angela and Neil are going to the movies. They each bought a medium popcorn. Neil got a small soft drink. Angela had a $10 gift certificate to put towards the cost, and Neil paid the rest, which came to $19.30. A movie ticket cost $9, and a medium popcorn cost $4.40. How much does a small soft drink cost at the theater? Okay, you have a couple of options on this. Well, you've got a couple of options that you can write this. You can write this equation with without the gift card, and make sure that you realize that the total cost actually comes to $29.30, or you can write it with the gift card and set it equal to $19.30. We're going to do the first one, which is not writing in the gift card, but remembering that she did pay $10, and after $10, the total cost came to $19.30. So if you take away the gift card that she had, the total cost would be $29.30 for everything. Okay, well, what did they buy? They each bought a medium popcorn. Okay, well, we know medium popcorns cost $4.40. So we know they spent a total of $8.80 on pop. Okay, because they each bought it. Okay, we also know that they each bought a movie ticket to get in. So we know that they each bought a movie ticket. So the movie ticket would come to $9, so $18. And we know that they bought Neil, and we know that Neil got a small soft drink. So only one of them bought a soft drink. And we don't know the cost of that. So we're going to write it as the variable. Okay. So now that we have our equation written, we're going to solve it. Okay, combining like terms, so we're going to combine the 18 and the 850, or the 880. Okay, so we have D plus 2680 equals 2930. Subtract the 2680 from both sides. And we're left with D is equal to $2.50. Okay, it says, what is the height of a triangle that has an area of 60 yards, or it has an area of 60 square yards and a base with a length of 12 yards? So we want to find the height of a triangle. We know the area equals 60 square yards. We know the base is 12 yards. Okay, you need to know the formula for the area formula for a triangle, which is base times height divided by 2 equals the area. Okay, in this case, we know the area. We know the area is 60 yards, or 60 square yards. We don't know the base, or we do know the base. We know the base is a length of 12 yards. We don't know the height, so we're going to leave the height as just h. And then we're dividing all of that by 2. Okay, I would go ahead and simplify this part. We do know that 12 divided by 2 is 6. So we have 60 equals 6h. And then divide both sides by 6. And you'll get h is equal to 10. So we know the height of this particular one is 10. All right. So what is the solution to the proportion? So when we're solving proportions, biggest thing to do here is to cross multiply and then divide. So you want to cross multiply. So 12 times d, just 12d, that goes on one side of your equal sign. 14 times 48, which will give you, give me just one second. Should give you 672. That goes on the other. And then divide. And you get d is equal to 56. Okay, solve for x. So we have another proportion. So we're going to solve this proportion. Again, to solve the proportion, we're going to cross multiply. So 5 times 2, which is 10. 4 times the difference of 8, or x minus 8. So you're going to have 4 times x minus 8. Note that the distributive property has to take place here. So you've got 10 equals 4x minus 8, or minus 32. Add 32 to both sides. You get 42 equals 4x. Divide both sides by 4. And you're going to get x equals 10.5. Which is the same thing as 21 over 2. Okay. Van travels 220 miles on 10 gallons of gas. Find how many gallons he needs to travel 550 miles. This problem can be solved by setting up a proportion. We know that 220 miles goes with 10 gallons. So we need to know how many gallons goes with 550 miles. Okay. If you cross multiply and divide, if you cross multiply and divide, you will get the solution to your answer. Now, before you start doing that, note that you can simplify 220 over 10 to 21 or to 22 over 1. That's going to make your dividing process a little bit easier and your multiplying process a little bit easier. So we know that 550 times 1 is just 550. And 22 times x is 22x. And then we'll divide both sides by 22. And you get 25 is equal to x. Okay, the last question. It says a tree casts a shadow 10 feet long, and a boy standing next to the tree casts a shadow that is 2.5 feet long. The triangle shown for the tree and its shadow is similar to the triangle shown for the boy and his shadow. The boy is 5 feet tall. How tall is the tree? Okay, we know that a 5 foot tall person casts a 2.5 foot shadow. So we need to know how tall of a figure gets you a 10 foot shadow. So you can set up a proportion. Okay, when you're setting up a proportion, you're going to cross multiply. So 10 times 5, which would be 50, equals 2.5 times x. Divide both sides by 2.5. And you're going to get x is equal to 20. Okay. I hope you found this tutorial helpful. Please make sure to study for your test. Remember that you may use a note card. Put only information that is important on your note card. Do not try to write down everything. That is not an effective use of your time. So write down formulas, write down some helpful tips to remember, like remembering to reverse the inequality when you divide or multiply by a negative number. I would also put on there how to determine if you have no solution versus infinite numbers of solutions, or all real numbers. So again, kind of find some things that might be helpful for you to reference as you're taking your test tomorrow. Make sure that you study, get lots of rest, come prepared. I will be in my room in the morning for tutorials if you need it. Okay, have a good evening.